You don't say the fuck 'em part, but like,
Right.
Right.
like
Right.
But
yeah,
yeah.
like okay. So we're just gonna talk about the record because
Yeah.
Okay.
we're you jumped into it. So first of all, I kind of know why, and this is interesting. Like I feel like this record's gonna get it's getting really warm reviews and reception. Number one, I think it's a great record, right? So and there's like there's a real like effortlessness to this record. Like you guys just went and made a record. I think people are happy to see you girls. I think they're happy to see you like putting music out. I think it's makes people feel good, and I think you have these really dedicated fans. And I told you guys this when I went and saw your show. You have these hardcore fans that like need to hear from you. They're like waiting for the next
Yeah.
message. And I don't know, man. I really, one of the things I liked the most about your music was seeing it all come together at a live show when I saw all the fans and I saw you guys, and it was like a packed room full of like really what I thought were just like really great music fans. Like they it
Yeah.
was just like super diverse crowd of different kinds of people. It's on the alternative music spectrum of like of all these of it's like a mixture of all these different kinds of music, and I think it's super cool. AP's covering it, and
Mm.
so I think it's cool. I think the record's awesome. Congratulations.
Thanks,
And
Joel.
Well,
The write-up meant a lot. We love what
Yeah,
AP wrote. It
that was
really
really
meant a lot.
cool.
It's neat because you have kind of witnessed it firsthand. I think that our fans feel very like safe with us. And I think there's something about, it's why we named that EP Sanctuary, because we do kind of feel like that is what we're here to do, is create a sanctuary for our fans. And I think that's what we bring to our live set. And I think this record is just really, it's just authentically us. And our fans recognized that immediately, which is so neat when people actually understand exactly what you were doing.
Yeah, we didn't have to explain the process to them. It just made sense. And
Yeah.
it's interesting even seeing how how you were talking about just seeing that the fan base is this kind of diverse, eclectic mix of people. And our producer, Eve, the other day did like a virtual meet and greet with us, kind of asking like fans, like fans were asking about, the record and maybe like how things were made or, how'd you mic the drums, stuff like that. And it was really interesting to be able to see Eve understand the fan base in a much more direct way than us just like telling him or just seeing like a post online.
He was like, your fans are amazing.
Yeah, it was really
cool. We were like, yeah, we know.
We were like, yeah. But it was just cool that he was able to witness that, himself, and was, in this virtual meet and greet for like 3 hours, just getting to know people.
Yeah, so I think that is kind of how you understand an artist is by going. You have to see them live, and you have to hang in the like context, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure your fans are super stoked on this record, and it's a big week. Like you're in the promotion. Are you doing a lot of promotion?
Yeah,
we've done
done a lot.
Much press, which is great, but it's all been on Zoom, which is weird.
Yeah. Good and bad that it's on Zoom because you don't have to go on like a whirlwind.
It's true. Like all over the city, like in our car, or you're flying to New York or something.
We actually can shove in way more in a day because it's just back to back to back from our house. We never leave. We're planning on like doing a New York, press kind of run. I
think like midsummer.
Yeah.
And then we have a college show this next week that we're playing in Delaware. The tickets went on a pre-sale today, and then they go on sale worldwide on Friday. Even though, it's still a ways off, but I'm like, that'll also be upon us much quicker than we think. It's 10 months away.
And we've never had like the strategic, world tour announcement followed by the album. We've never really done the like it all happens at once. Like wow,
or even just having this much time to sell tickets. We always had like 2 months, which is insane. And like that's mental. I don't even know why we did that. I mean, I know why. It was because we would wrap on a project, acting wise, and then be like, hey, we want a tour. And then we'd like throw it together really fast and go tour and then come back and shoot again,
Exactly.
Which isn't ideal.
So that's the other thing that's kind of interesting, right? Is as young as you both are, like now it's like it's so it's interesting. Like any artist that comes out now, they're almost like expected to be to be doing 5 different like their
Yeah.
movies or TV,
True.
A multi-hyphenate.
It's true.
Yeah.
and a clothing brand and a this and a that.
Mhm,
But like
mhm.
you guys are some of the like pioneers of like having these multi kind of vertical careers, uh, which is interesting. I wonder which career do you enjoy more, or is it both in just different ways, or all? Because you're not just singers,
Right.
actresses,
Yeah.
Well,
you're
I
like
think that it's a mix.
talented.
It's kind of a mix.
Thank
I
you.
mean, I feel like AJ and I really enjoyed the songwriting process, and I think we always will. And I think that there's even a world where AJ and I maybe don't even just write stuff for ourselves, but it's for like other artists or other collaborators, and it's not an Aly AJ centered project. But then, you know, when it comes to the music and the touring and all of that, like we love that. We really truly do enjoy being out on the road. You know, I don't want to be out on the road for 8 months out of the year, but being out on the road for, you know, 4 months, 5 months, like I'm down with that, you know. And we get along really well when we're making music. We don't have many moments of like massive fights or drama or arguments, which is kind of interesting. Which I guess that's good. Yeah.
Yeah. We're kind of also
it's more like it would be more personal stuff that we would fight about, not like the business, which is I guess good.
And then acting, you know, that's something that in a way it's like our outlet to do something outside of each other. You know, it's like it's the one place that we have that's a little bit more solo, which I actually think is healthy, because when we're away shooting something, we come back together and we're like, wow, dynamic duo is back. You know, it's like it's kind of refreshing. But I would say we're musicians who are also actors. Like, you know, I think our heart and soul lies within songwriting and touring. And then I love acting and I love developing ideas. And Aly and I want to, you know, expand on our production company and continue to act. But I also feel like it's really, really hard to find a great project that you're really proud of
at the end of the day.
We don't really have any control over acting.
Yeah, because as an actor, you're hired and you're like one tiny piece of the puzzle, technically.
Yeah.
And then
you watch
the project comes out.
Yeah, it could be shit or it could be great. Like you really have, unless you're the producer and you've really helped develop it from the ground up, you don't really know how it's ever going to turn out. Whereas music, you're like, oh, this is like, I have my stamp of approval on this in every way. I was a part of all of this. So it feels really good. Acting is still great, but I think music is really where our heart is.
Yeah. There's no reason why you shouldn't do.
You can't do it all.
Like,
you
can't do it all. Like, we just live in that time where you can like.
And you place a priority on one or the other at that moment in time, and that's kind of what you're focusing on. And then when that's done and your commitment's over, you can then shift to the other thing. Like for us right now, you know, we are making conscientious decisions as a band that can't interfere with this tour that's now been put up, which is fine. It just means that like we can do any job from now until, you know, December. But once February rolls around, like we're pumpkins and we're out on the road. So it's juggling the schedules and right now we're putting music at the front and center because I think it deserves to be front and center, and it's been on the back burner for a while.
Yeah, you deserve to have fun.
Yeah, totally.
Always. You should always do what's fun.
For us, it's like, all right, we got to tour this record. That to me is the next chapter. You know what I mean? It's like honoring this album and getting out on the road and making sure that people are hearing it live. So we've just told our team, like, sorry guys, we're out for this amount of time. You know, don't call us regarding acting because it's just not going to be able to happen.
Yeah.
Peace.
Yeah. Unless you want me to, you know, make a reality show from the road.
Right. There you go.
Yeah. How do you say the album title?
A touch of the beat gets you up on your feet, gets you out and then into the sun. What?
Say it again.
A touch of the beat gets you up on your feet, gets you out and then into the sun.
I love it.
It's a mantra.
It's our bit of a mantra.
Totally. I wanted, and you know what? You guys just nailed it together because when I saw the album title, I was like, I know there's a way they say it. I know there's got to be a
That's funny.
You know,
like a melody to how we say it.
A little bit of a melody there. It's like a song. You know what I mean? It's like the title is so great for the whole album and the body of work. It's great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
It was funny. People kept being like, it's so long. It's so long. This is the longest title. I was like, this is definitely not the longest album title that's out there. There's longer. And we obviously know who those records are. But I guess it's abnormal to have that long of an album title, probably especially in the pop space, because most pop artists would get that shut down real fast by their label by being like, nope.
It just felt so right. We came up with it back in June of 2020 when we were at Sunset Sound making the record. And I remember we were outside having lunch and we were like, we really need to get to a place where we've figured out the album name, because it's going to help determine, imaging and packaging and how we want the vinyl to look and, what really represents these 12 tracks. And Aly was like, I think it should be called A Touch of the Beat, gets you up on your feet, gets you out and into the sun. And I was like, I mean, that's hot. Like, it sounds like us. It's how we talk. It's like, there's this run-on sentence vibe to it. It is a mantra. It's the lead chorus line in Don't Need Nothing, which I think is one of the strongest tracks on the record. And it just felt like, this sums up the album for us.
And then it just took us like slightly convincing the rest of the team that it was the right move, but it wasn't like pulling teeth, which I kind of thought it would be at first. And then I think over time, it just made more and more sense. And then the visuals started coming together and it was like, there's no turning back. That's it.
Yeah. It can be a PR nightmare when an album name's that long, but you just abbreviate it. People want to call it A Touch of the Beat. That's cool.
Yeah. I also feel like maybe you don't realize it about yourself because you're so nice, but like you're badasses. You kind of just do what you want, and you consider other people's thoughts, and like that's nice. It's nice to think. It's nice to consider what your team thinks because you respect them, and you're like,
totally.
I have you here for a reason. Like,
you're
part of the team. But like, so you're super nice about it, but you're artists, and you're like, this is what I think. This is my vision. And like you, and again, like that's why the record's so good, because you executed on a vision you had. And I actually have been kind of on the sideline watching this whole process and kind of watching you guys bring this all together. I think you are really like nice about things, but you're like low key, like you're both really badass. Like you do what you want, and you're like.
Yeah, we're definitely like,
we're really independent.
We're definitely independent spirits and opinionated, like you were saying, though, in like a nice way. I mean, I guess it depends on the collaborator we're with. Like, we'll be very opinionated and outspoken and not feeling like we need to walk on eggshells around Eve, for instance, because we have that relationship with him and he'll be the same way back to us. But
we censor ourselves for certain people, but most of the time it's like, no, this is what we want to do.
Most of the time we're like, okay, we're just going to go for this, and people will either jump on board with it or not. But as long as like we know that we're making this choice joint, then that's all that matters. I mean, there's like been very few times.
You don't say the fuck 'em part, but like,
right.
Like,
Yeah,
like,
but
that to me is like you guys in a nutshell. Like, you're very nice, but that's the thing. I see you both, and I think you're very hardworking, determined people who are here on their own, will. Like, you got to be here and to have the careers you've had is no easy task. And like it's crazy, like to think like we've kind of over the last decade and before to come up in this in making music, making film, making TV, making art. It's like very hard for people. Like we see people go out because it's too hard. Like, by the way, I don't make as much art and music as I want to all the time because it's too hard sometimes.
It's hard.
Like, I gotta go out and I gotta face the world, and like I'm not ready for that yet. I'm not ready for that.
Right.
And then you make your record, but that's I don't think people understand, especially I think a lot of times women get it worse because we live in kind of this objectification society where they're like they point out shit that doesn't even matter, and it's like all this bullshit when we're just putting records out. So I just
you're almost kind of like, it's not that complicated.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're so right.
You're 100% right. Yeah, it's not rocket science. It's like we go in, we try to write songs that make people feel good or connect with, and like at the end of the day, that's really what we're thinking about. And
but then it becomes a thing about look and hair and makeup,
all of
and
it,
the
all the
video,
bullshit.
and
But that's why y'all are so badass, because you continue to do it. You continue to like go forward and make music, make art in all its ways. And I think that should be acknowledged, because it's a lot easier in some ways before your first record, even though we all remember what it's like to want to make it. And so we we commiserate with those artists that are still on their way, and we understand their struggle. We understand, but they can only do it on their own. We can't necessarily. We can shine lights on people and stuff, but I think ultimately it's a solo journey when you're in the early stages of development. But then once you put your records out and you've had a career like you guys have, you have to keep showing up, and you have to keep not only trying to find the quiet space to create something original to yourself, but then also like deal with like the world, which is I don't think any of us really complain about it, but it's just like a real thing. It's like, you're so I think this record is interesting because I think it's like a really kind of like triumphant record. I think the music is got something to it. Like I can hear a hunger there. I can hear and like I'm really excited to see the tour, to see what you guys do on tour. And I think you're going to get a bunch of new fans and people who are actually just who need it. Like I think I think it's interesting, like right now in music, I think like the more this record is like, to me, is like a bright spot. And so I think I'm excited to see like the fans again when you guys go out on tour.
Thanks. Yeah, no, it's interesting because I think over the years we've come to terms with the fact that we want to make those kind of records and we want to be the bright spot.
No.
And sometimes people look at that as being kind of like lame, or it's like it's too nice, or it's too sweet, or it's too, and I'm like, you know what, like life is really hard, and sometimes
that's what we're here to kind of
that's what we're kind of here to do. And if I can again be that like bright spot in someone's day, then I feel like I utilize my time wisely. And I think that, I don't know, I think that music is something that everybody enjoys, whatever that genre might be that they like. Like you don't ever hear someone say, I don't like music. Like, like there's some people that are like, I'm not into TV, or I don't watch movies, or I'm not a big sports guy, but music is so universal. And so
it does.
So if we can be that band that's like inspirational, I'm fine having that role.
And no matter who we are, someone somewhere can think we're lame. Like, it doesn't matter.
Right, yeah, that's always
going to matter. Like on wherever on the spectrum of music you land, someone out there will have a salty opinion of you, because like that's kind of the nature of the forums that we're reviewed on. Like the nature of social media, the nature of all these things are like, in general, there's two kinds. There's optimism and there's pessimism. You're always gonna be lame to someone. I kind of just accepted that like that, because there was always, when I was younger and we were putting out records and touring and we were just living that life, I was lame to people, and I kind of had to like, and I struggled with it because I think we all do early, because we like don't understand it, and like I was super.
And you think that it's tied to you personally when it's not. It's just maybe doesn't float their boat.
Public opinion, to someone.
Yeah,
it's like there might be a book you hate and someone else loves. I mean, everything is subject to opinion.
But the new wave, I think, is like anything goes in music and art and film. It's just there's like I really do believe that people are looking for things that are interesting to them, and like I think it's a really good time for records and art and film, and I think that's why I love that y'all put this record out at this time, and I think it's exciting to think about like the next 5 to 10 years of your life as musicians.
Yeah.
To think about where this leads, and
Yeah. The future
how much
records that
fun.
we have yet to make, it's
Totally.
like, I'm excited about that.
This
Yeah.
leads the pack for
It's
that.
kind of like a fresh start for us in a way. I mean, AJ and I have said this before, that this feels like a first record because there's the excitement of making a record for the first time that you can't really duplicate again and again. I mean, you can be excited about the songs, but there is never your, first record making process ever again. And in a strange way, because we've been away from making full length records for so long, we had that same kind of giddiness and wonder that we had when we made Into the Rush in a way. And I just think that the difference is that now we have like the knowledge and wisdom and just better writing skills, better, vocal power and all those things. So, I am curious to see what records we're going to make over the next few years. And, AJ and I've already kind of talked about how we want to start writing for the next record in like June, because, time goes by really fast. And then next thing you know, you're like, oh my gosh, it's been 2 years. I haven't put out a record.
Exactly.
So we want to kind of like jump on the bandwagon while we're still feeling really creative and inspired to keep writing and to get those songs, in a really good place. And then when we have the chance to go and record, they're ready.
Hell yeah.